My name is Kate. My husband's name is Mike. In our second year of marriage, we were blessed with children, and our twin babies were born in the spring. Our daughters' names are Sally and Mary. Now they're already a year and a half old. When I found out I was pregnant with twins, I was very surprised, but more than that, I was happy and looking forward to having two beautiful children. However, raising twins was more difficult than I had imagined. I hardly slept at night, and I was overwhelmed with the responsibilities of caring for two small children during the day. I had no support locally, so I did my best, but was perpetually exhausted. Mike was a kind, considerate guy when we were dating. However, as soon as we got married, his attitude changed as if he had transformed. You don't feed a fish you've already caught. That saying perfectly described him. After getting married, I quit my job, and as a full-time housewife, I lived trying not to upset Mike. I prepared meals with perfect timing so they would be ready as soon as Mike came home, and I prepared towels and clothes for his bath. I always did my best to be a good wife. However, after the children were born, I was a mother, and my focus on being a good wife became a lower priority. I believed that he would change when the children were born, but as it turns out, people don't change so easily. Mike's attitude not only didn't change, it got worse. "Hey, where's my dinner? I told you when I'd be home so you could have it ready by the time I got here." "I'm sorry, Sally and Mary were crying. I'll heat it up and it will be ready soon." He let out an exasperated sigh. I pretended not to hear it and heated up the dinner. From their playpen, the babies started wailing again. It's interesting with twins. When one starts crying, the other one starts crying too. The children's cries echoed throughout the house. Mike sat on the sofa, unmoved, with his newly opened beer in one hand and his cell phone in the other. From the kitchen, I made a shh noise to soothe the babies and went back and forth between the stove and setting the table. As soon as I set dinner on the table, Mike stood up. "You know what? This is taking forever. I'm just going to shower." "Dinner's ready. I just set it on the table." "I don't care. It's too late. I've had a long day and I need a shower, so I'll eat after that." And with that, the hot dinner was left untouched, and he was gone upstairs. This was an everyday occurrence. Suppressing my irritation with Mike's selfishness, I began to feed Sally and Mary their bottles and get them ready for bed. Putting the two of them to sleep was always quite a struggle. When I finally got them to sleep and returned to the living room, Mike was lying on the sofa, freshly showered. "Okay, I'm definitely hungry now. When's dinner going to be ready?" "You haven't eaten yet? You should have just heated it up and eaten it." "Oh, so I'm supposed to work all day, then come home and do housework too?" "It's just reheating it in the microwave. If I complained like you do at my job, I'd be fired." Fearing that saying anything more would further upset him, I reluctantly heated up the dinner and brought it to Mike. "Microwaved fish? Ugh. I was in the mood for meat. This sucks. Maybe I'll just eat cup ramen instead." "I went through a lot of trouble to prepare that." "Fine, because I love you and you worked so hard." Today seemed better because he actually ate what I prepared. There are days when he complains and doesn't eat the dinner I make. While Mike eats, I clean up the dishes and do the laundry. I lament the fact that I've had no time for myself. I thought that spending time with my adorable children was a happy thing, but due to Mike's lack of equal partnership, the child care and domestic tasks were draining me of both my mental and physical health. As the children began to walk, the cuteness was undeniable, but so was the difficulty. Being twins, they would go in different directions. Shopping also required me to go alone with both of them, so I spent most of my days desperately chasing after them. Every day I began to feel more depressed and isolated, and I wished I had a safe space to share my struggles and receive some support. My husband left for work before 6 a.m. and returned home most days on the last train. Even if he came home early, the babies were still always my responsibility. And if there were days that he did come home early, it was even more work for me, because I felt like I had 3 children. Mike's days off were the worst. He would sleep until afternoon, play on his phone, and hardly engage with the children at all. Yet he would ask when lunch would be ready, or tell me to take the noisy children outside. "We're going to the park now, Mike. Why don't you come with us?" "I'm just not good at the baby stuff. Plus, today is my day off. I need to rest or I'll be worthless on Monday morning." Since Mike didn't engage much with the girls, they weren't very attached to him anyway. On holidays and weekends, there are always many families at the park. I would often see families with fathers who were not only taking responsibility for the child care, but would play with their children and seemed to be enjoying it. Every time I saw that, I felt empty inside. It was as if our girls were fatherless and I were a single mother. Finally, I decided something had to change. I would leave. However, before leaving, there was something I had to do. Although Mike had said he would be home late, he unexpectedly came back a little before the children's bedtime. "Where's dinner?" "You said you'd be home late, so I didn't make anything. I just fed the girls." On nights when he comes home on the last train, he usually eats dinner out, so I didn't prepare anything for him that day either. "Ugh, you're as useless as ever." "If you knew you were coming home, you could have communicated with me." "I got done earlier than I expected. I would think you'd have a plan to prepare for situations like this. What happened to this house? It looks like a bomb went off." I typically clean up the house before Mike gets home to avoid being complained at. But today, he came back unexpectedly, and the room was not tidied up, and Mike seemed extremely annoyed with the messy room. "I was planning to do it after Sally and Mary went to sleep." "The reason you stay home is to do the housework and take care of the kids. This is your job, and I can't relax in such a messy room." "Right. Taking care of the kids in itself is a full-time job, not to mention the housework. And even if I clean up the toys, they'll just get scattered again, so I always clean up after the kids are in bed." "Ugh, enough arguing. I'm starving." "Well, like I said, I didn't make anything." "Can't you make something simple quickly? There's a microwavable beef bowl." "I had beef bowl last night, so no." "Then all we have is instant ramen, so you can have that or go out and get something." After heaving a long, drawn-out sigh, Mike exploded. "You're a stay-at-home mom, yet you can't cook or do housework. Are you incompetent?" "I am nothing of the sort." "What's the definition of someone who is left to do all the work themselves? Certainly not incompetent." "You act as if I'm idling away my time." "Is that what you really think?" "If I'd known our relationship would be so lopsided, I wouldn't have married you. I feel deceived." "I could say the same about you." I wasn't shocked. On the inside, I almost laughed. I'd been waiting for the day when he would say something to push me over the edge. I felt like suddenly I was given permission to take action. And the next day, after Mike left for work, I took Sally and Mary, grabbed our luggage, and left the house. For weeks I had already slowly started packing all of our necessities without Mike noticing. We would never return to this house. I wasn't sad. I felt free and motivated to start a new life. I left the divorce papers on his desk and we left the house. We went to my parents, who knew about my marriage and were ready to support me and the girls when I was ready. Today was that day. My parents, who lived about 2 hours away by bullet train, were overjoyed to see their grandchildren after a long time and warmly welcomed us. Once Sally and Mary were playing with my parents, I finally carried out my plan. Night came, and it was time for Mike to return home. My cell phone rang. The caller, of course, was Mike. I ignored the call. My phone continued ringing non-stop until midnight. After ignoring him for several days, Mike came to my parents' house on his day off. "Is Kate here?" "Why?" "She left the house without saying anything the other day. She won't answer my calls. This is the only place she could be." "Yes, Mike, she and the girls are here," my mother answered. "Let me in. I need to see them." "I'm sorry I won't let you in, but Kate did leave a message for you." "What is it?" "You need to sign the papers and submit them by mail. Don't come back here." "I don't want a divorce." "Well, what happened in the first place?" My mother pretended not to know and asked Mike to share his version of the story. Then Mike said something unbelievable. "I think she just had a bit of postpartum depression. I intended to support her as much as possible to reduce her burden, but maybe she got too tired." "Is that so?" "I've been busy with work and had a few late nights at the office, so it could be that I was a little distracted. If she had communicated to me how she was feeling, I could have done more." "So you would have supported her if you knew?" "Of course. I can't thank Kate enough for working hard every day, even though taking care of the children for a short time is difficult." Then what's this video about?" My mother pulled out her phone. The color drained from Mike's face. "Why do you have this video?" "I got it from Kate. This is your voice, right? You seem to think here that she was incompetent, which is quite different from depressed or overworked. I was just joking when I said that to her. That's interesting, since it's not just this one. Kate showed me many other videos with your abusive language. Do you plan to pass them all off as jokes? Since the day I decided to divorce Mike, I had set my phone up in the living room to record his nightly performances after he came home. If he ever saw my phone and asked, I told him I set it up to record the children playing. But in reality, those videos were his undoing. They contained all the abusive words he said to me. Also, it seems Sally and Mary don't want to see you either. I'm their father. If they were given the choice, I'm not sure they would care. That's not true. My mother called the girls to the door from the living room. Sally and Mary stopped running and stood still when they saw Mike's face. Hi, girls. I've missed you. Come to Daddy. Hearing this, the twins returned to me in the other room and clung tightly to my legs. I couldn't tell if they were actually afraid of their father, or if they saw him more as a stranger, but I was certain that they didn't need him. I went to the entrance and approached Mike. Listen, if this is just a ploy to get me to feel sorry about what I said, I'll apologize. Let's just go home. That's no longer our home, and I won't come back. I won't return to a place that's not safe and supportive for me and the girls. Come on, I'm tired from work every day, so it's only natural that I can't play with the kids or help you do everything. Right. So if you find yourself too overworked to take responsibility for simple tasks such as cleaning up after yourself or feeding yourself, perhaps you should hire a housekeeper. What are you trying to say? I'm saying that I signed up to be your wife and partner, not your housekeeper. Turns out you think you need me, but I clearly don't need you. And just now, seeing the twins' reaction, I realized that they don't need you either. Please sign the papers and get this over with. I'm warning you, you'll regret this. You'll have zero financial stability. I won't take you back. We were always very well off financially because of Mike's job at his big company. He probably got promoted because his arrogance was seen as confident. Oh, don't worry about us. You should worry about yourself. What do you mean? Shall I show you the video that's been going viral on social media recently? I showed him the video my mother had shown Mike earlier. It was this video where Mike said terrible things to me while our children played in the background. Videos in which he called me a burden and incompetent were now publicly available on social media. What is this? Oh, just a little reality TV on social media that has gone viral. What do you mean by viral? It's not just my friends, but many people have shared it, and it's currently a hot topic on social media. Mike, you're famous now. Don't screw with me. What if my coworkers find out? Delete it, now. It's already out on the internet, so it's too late. There's no deleting it. You're really screwed up, do you know that? Says the guy who treated his wife like a live-in servant. Some mothers deal with this kind of hardship and only have one child. I had twins. Then when you came home from work at night, it was as if I had 3 children. You said you wanted to care for our children full-time. Correct. Our children. I did not want to be a maid or a single parent, even when you returned home from work at night. I didn't wait for Mike to reply. This was not the life I wanted. I didn't do anything wrong. The fact that you think that way is proof that there is no undoing this. Please sign the divorce papers and mail them to me. Mike seemed to have more to say, but I sent him away. A few days later, the divorce papers arrived. I immediately submitted them to the city office, and we got divorced. As for him, it became rumored in his company that he was the voice in the video, and his good public image took a significant hit. His sales performance, a job where image is crucial, began to decline rapidly. His close friends and coworkers were shocked and began to distance themselves, and with his sales performance no longer improving, Mike found it difficult to stay at the company and voluntarily resigned. Being a high earner had been his status, but now he was struggling as a newcomer at a new company, being pushed around like he once did to others. As for me, I went back to school. I studied design while staying at my parents' house and found a great job that offered me the flexibility to earn a great salary and take care of my daughters. We 3 now live in a quaint little apartment near my parents' house. I have my sweet girls. I have a renewed sense of self-esteem, and most of all, I have my dignity and assurance that I am living authentically to myself.